What's up, Twain, my geekers, tweakers, gooners. I said gooners. Fuck, I was not trying to. That's not my audience. That's not my audience. Goons and gooners. Fuck, whatever. Welcome back to Solace. Today, I'm feeling pretty cool. Pretty cool. Is my nipple going through my shirt? Don't worry about it. How are you doing today? Cool. I'll take it. If you said nothing, I know where you live. Today, a little chill video, a little chill for real. We're gonna talk about the fact that, you know, you're a different person to every person you talk to. And for that reason, you're basically a different you to anybody that knows you. I would like to start off by saying the significance of this topic is the fact that sometimes we can get into habits of trying to treat certain people certain ways, and these I'm not reflecting on myself, by the way, but we do have habits of reflecting on people in certain ways and not realizing that they don't see us the same way that other person does. And so we tend to do things that make sense to person B, but to person A, it's out of character for you. And when you like hear or realize something like that, it may throw you off at first because you're like, no, this is always me. This is how I always have been. But I want you to pay close attention to how it is you treat certain people, right? Most simple, obvious answer would be like how you compare or how you treat family compared to coworkers, or family compared to people you work for. You're not going to give them the same personality 9 times out of 10. Now, coworkers, you may give them the same personality that you may give your friends, maybe, but even then, you're still doing it with a certain level of detachment. For some people, they go full on and just more power to you. But I would say for the majority, it's like you're choosing which mask to put on for the day, right? Masking isn't anything new. Everybody knows about masking for the most part. And if you don't, masking is basically just exactly what it says, to be honest. You're putting on a face for a certain group or person and going from there to make situations more comfortable, I will say, for lack of a better term. Now, the importance and just recognizing and acknowledging that we do this is, of course, obviously, we know we do it, okay? For the most part, I would say most people understand that they are doing this. It's more so the disassociation from the fact that you don't understand how differently you come off to other people, okay? For me, for example, I can appear like the me you're getting in these videos isn't how I normally act. I'm trying to get there, but talking to my phone comparatively to a person I know or a group of people, this is like me light, Giant light, Solace light. And it's because there's a certain level of, I wouldn't call this performance because I actually am just this, but there's a certain level of display you're choosing to put on depending on the circumstance. And this can be consciously or subconsciously, but 9 times out of 10, this is a subconscious thing. Unless you're going for like a job interview, then it's conscious. You see the examples. Now, the reason I say it's important to acknowledge these things is because you do a lot within certain masks that you don't do in others, right? You may be feeling more explorative out of country than you would in country. And so, whereas though you may go feed the monkeys, back home, you're terrified of dogs. Small dogs. Is that comparative? Let me do this. Out of country, you'll feed flying squirrels, but in country, you're terrified of squirrels. I'll do that. And it's kind of psychological. I want to actually do some research on that now that I think about it. Research videos coming with PC. But as far as the things we choose to do goes, I would just like to propose the idea that we start to try to mix some of these masks together to create a more holistic idea of ourselves, right? If you're willing to feed the flying squirrels or monkeys out of country, the only reason you don't feel comfortable doing it here is because of certain beliefs in your environment or the people around you that has told you in some way that you are to be afraid of certain things, whether it be the squirrels or the little dogs. And this programming is, you can break out of it. Am I looking at the camera? You can break out of it. The thing with it is, are you willing to break out of it? And again, with most things, most people aren't, because it's not comfortable. 9 times out of 10, you won't do something if it's uncomfortable. But this is why I would like to bring up the idea. I don't remember where I heard this from, but I love it. I love it so much, but I will not take credit for it. It's the idea of expanding your box instead of breaking out of it. Making the room bigger for you to work in instead of trying to burst straight out. Because for some people, that is like, it'll send you to like a catatonic state. You just can't deal with it. And understandably so. Certain people have different degrees to which they're willing and able to deal with. So definitely take your time and understand what it is that works best with you. However, don't separate yourself into different people, please. Because at that point, sometimes you won't even realize which side of yourself you're giving people. Now, again, there are going to be circumstances where it makes sense for you to do this, especially in work environments. You don't need to give your 200% personality at work. 9 times out of 10, you more than likely avoid it because you know either you'll get too much attention or you'll scare people off, or a mixture of both, maybe. It doesn't even matter. Regardless, you make sure you retain and charge up that energy you have within you in those environments, so that once you go out, for example, you don't hold yourself back to a certain degree based on how you were acting previously in that day. You know what I'm saying? Like, the feelings that you carried within throughout that day does not have to go with you into your new personality once you're outside. And sometimes that does drag through, even though we put our masks on to avoid that, right? And it kind of goes to show masks don't really work as well as we would hope they do, but they do work as a good, I would say, good defense mechanism, if it's that. But I would more so say it's like a coping mechanism, because you're going out of your way to avoid putting your actual authentic self on display. And in certain situations, again, rightfully so, like if you work at a shit place, you bring your bright personality to it, it may brighten it up, but now you have to deal with everybody's shit energy. And you don't need to do that. If you're watching this far, I would like to say, you do not owe this world anything. Do not convince yourself that you do, because you do not. Now, otherwise, I would just like to point out, we have a lot going on in our brains on a daily basis, and when we get into the habit of separating these things through different characters that we like to put on, it can get kind of hard not to mix these things up, and then it gets even harder to find out what the original problem was, if that makes sense. So I would like to suggest not necessarily getting rid of masks all the way, but just having like 3 instead of 20. Does that make sense? Like, and in those 3, having your personality so harmonized with itself, there isn't any structure that can get manipulated or seen as inauthentic towards you, because you don't act that way all the time. You get what I'm saying? Like, sometimes people get misconceptions about you based on how you act on a certain day compared to another day, and at the end of the day, fuck those people. You don't have to do anything to prove anything to them, but for the betterment of yourself and moving forward and the opportunities you can gain from it, think about all the power you could have in taking those 20 to 30 personalities, putting them into those 3. Just an idea. But hopefully that makes sense for you, and if it did, thank you very much for watching and listening to me. I love yapping to y'all. To my geekers, I hope you geeked pretty hard, but make sure you give yourself some rest. To my tweakers, I hope you tweak a little less as hard, but you eat something good. And to my goons, my goons and the gooners, stop gooning, please. Gooning so hard. I still love you all the same though. There's no favoritism over here in Solace. So, thank you for watching today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I know you enjoyed it, actually. And yeah, see you.